Hello, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to a Local 100 Fightback Coalition Facebook and YouTube live event. We're featuring an interview with TWU Local 100 presidential candidate from the Progressive Action Slate, Kia Phua. Kia, welcome to our platform, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak to union members about the upcoming.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, John and Ray, for having me. So, thank you.
Yeah, as Kia mentioned, we're also joined by Ray Regattas, a train operator in the A division. So we're represented B, A, and B very well. You know, with Kia, myself from the B, and Ray from the A. So Kia, I want to get straight to the point of this live stream. I want you to introduce yourself, and for members who don't know you as well as we know you, explain what your role has been in the union, why you made the decision to run for union president, what you think is wrong. Just give a general introduction of why you're running.
Okay. Again, thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone that's watching right now. Just to give you a little background first, as far as me as with the MTA, I started as a train operator. That's my one and only title. I started in June of 2003. So this is I entered my 22nd year with the MTA. Some people may think I have my papers in my back pocket, which I don't. I just turned 47 a couple of weeks ago, so I'm here for the long haul. I have at least 8 more years to go, plenty more after that. I got some young children, so retirement's probably not in the window yet. My youngest is 9 years old. My next one is 11. So I have some skin in this game. So there's a lot to fight for and a lot to undo from what this administration has been doing. But as far as the union, I started going on release with the union in, I believe it was September 2011. I started as a vacation relief. They wanted me to come out for a week. That 1 week turned into 2 weeks. Then that 2 weeks ended up to me just staying until March of 2018. During that time, I was an appointed vice chair for the B division for train operators. I think it was sometime in 2011 until the end of 2012. I still remained on release. I was the director of medical issues for the union. So I dealt with all the medical issues, not just for RTO, but for all the departments, especially for buses and car equipment, like all the safety sensitive titles. That's where the MTA likes to hold out members, like our bus operators, our train operators, our conductors, tower operators, etc. So I did that. I ran for vice president. That's my one and only election in 2015. I was elected by the membership. Thank you to everyone that voted. So I was elected RTO vice president in 2015. I served from 2016 until when they ousted me in March of 2018. In that same capacity, I was still the director of medical issues. So I still dealt with buses and all these other departments for medical issues. Part of this, during that time, like the administration, John Samuelson, Tony Utano, they thought I was trying to build some kind of thing that where I was trying to take over the union, where it wasn't the case. My whole thing was just to advocate for the members and just try to do the best I can for everyone that's involved up to this day. So,
okay. Yeah, just to follow up on that, I remember you were the guy who was down at labor relations that everybody was raving about. That was tossing management beatdowns and losses where they used to be winning cases.
Yes.
And that was long before you ran for VP.
Right.
And so you have an enthusiasm for that kind of work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I still to this day, we used to get the downloads, the downloads were some kind of new thing. And during my time there, even until when I left, labor relations had difficulties reading the download reports. So I could see the reports and see when a train operator took a break and how long did the train slide if the train was defective.
Right.
So we used that to our advantage to fight against management.
Yeah, and also I remember we had a little bit of a volatile relationship, because there was some job cuts coming down. Management was trying to get rid of platform controllers. There were disgusting conditions of abusive supervisors down at Grand Central.
Yes.
And one thing I give Kia credit for, and you all know me, I'm as harsh and as militant as anybody on union leaders who make promises they don't keep, or I feel are not actually advocating for members' interest in what they say their interests are. I've brought Kia into work locations where members were pissed, were irate, were fit to be tied. And the just to explain, like they had sexist supervisors who would put their finger in their face and talk down to women and try to demean them, and people were fed up about it. And I picked the job there specifically to bring that supervisor to understand that that's not going to be acceptable. And they kept doing it, and they kept doing it. And Kia was brought down there, and it was the tension. You could cut it with a knife. That's how serious it was in that room, a small room, platform controls room. And one thing I respected from Kia is that whether we agreed or we disagreed, he took the heat. He took all of their complaints, and he never folded, and he never said their experience wasn't their experience. And that's a very rare thing from a union officer. So I just want people to know that when I encourage support for Kia, one of the big reasons is that, because it's a very rare thing in a union officer to do.
And also, it's one of the things also for you to even bring up the points. Like, it's hard for the members just to speak out against management and speak out against supervision, because it's difficult, because there's backlash that's involved, as you can tell. Mm-hmm. And I remember that time too. Also, like, I brought down the vice president at the time for the MTA, Barry Greenblatt, to come down and see what's going on. And he spoke with the members also. He says, "Hey, listen, I got your back. I'm not cutting jobs. You know, platform control is one of his special things that he created. He wasn't looking to cut back on the jobs, but it was like it was above his grade, his pay grade, as far as what was going on there. And even with the whole thing in 2018, as far as combining the station agents with the platform controllers, that was something that upper management and the union at the time with Tony Utana was trying to do. But that's a whole other story.
Yes. Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to get into that too. Yes. But Ray, Kia, were you done with your kind of introduction, or do you want to go to questions yet?
No, it's up to you guys. Whatever you like to do. You know, I'm open to everything. So
okay, got you. Ray, go ahead.
Okay. So something that you hear a lot in RTO is that people feel that the union negotiates contracts with the idea of, we get sweeteners for these divisions, and this will give us enough votes for it to pass. And this is actually something Davis basically admitted to me back in 2019. A little backstory on it. I had gone to the Quill with some people to negotiate, to try to get people to vote no. And he happened to be there, and he was throwing us out. And he was telling me, and I was saying, well, this, it's bad for, the union as a whole. He's like, no. There isn't a union. What matters is this good for my department. That's the only thing that matters. Like, solidarity doesn't count. It really, and he kept saying it's not, the union doesn't matter. As it, like this, he just looked at it as each department should just look out for its own interests, and, their coworkers be damned. And, what would you do as president to get, I assume, of course, you would not, negotiate that way, but what would you do to get people to see that this isn't just a series of people who happen to have the same employer, but we are united in this struggle? We are all coworkers, regardless of what our division is.
Yeah, Kia, before you begin, I just want to give context. Ray didn't mention one thing about that interaction, is that Richie Davis was being a Karen and calling the cops on fellow union members to kick them out of the depot. He did this on numerous occasions when we went out there. So I assume you wouldn't be calling the cops on union members either, but
no. I mean, I had plenty of times I had contentious conversations where it could have gotten physical, but there was no way in hell I could call the cops on anybody. It was even contentious with some of the people that I'm running with now. So
that's true.
But it's not my style to call the police on anyone unless it warrants it. It gets to that point, but especially when it comes to fellow members, like there's no way in heck that I'm calling the cops. Like we'll hash out what we need to hash out, and we agree to disagree, but we're union brothers and sisters at the end of the day, and we need to hash out what we need to hash out. So, but to Ray's point, the problem is like when it comes to negotiations, the way it is right now, people tend to look at what am I getting, but it's up to the union leadership to present the package that is for everyone. So we need to put the right leadership in place to present that package to the membership. Where Ray was saying that I just need to put sweeteners for this department and that department. So those members tend to see that and they vote that way. It's almost like pinning one coalition or one set of group of members against the other. And it's up to the top leadership to stop that. Whether it's now as far as the union members, if you tell them, hey, listen, don't vote for this because this department and that department are not getting what they deserve here and there, and they should have this and that, they may not understand that because the participation from the union is lacking at the moment. And whether it's because of the members or it's because of the union, whatever the case is, like I've always said this story, and many people have said this, that heard this from me. It's like it's a problem not just with the union, but it's a problem with society. Where back in the day, we used to have that one income family. The father or the mother works, and one person was able to stay home and take care of the family. They worked a 40-hour work week, and they came home. So they cared. They had time and the energy to care about the different issues that's going on at work. Whereas now we're working 60 hours a week. Both parents are working. We don't even know what's going on with our kids. There's no time to get involved in any of this stuff. There's barely time to get involved with any of the things that the kids are going on. And now we see all this stuff about kids riding the trains on the top. There's no home taking care of the home right now because people are putting so much time into trying to just make a living wage to live at home. So it's a whole problem with society. And it's to go back to the union side, the members are drilled that way too. What is it benefiting for me? And I don't blame them at that point too. I mean, they should get involved with what's going on with the union. As you can see, like most of the fight that's going on is within RTO. We got some in stations, but there's a lot of members that are quiet too. But they should speak up also. But again, it all begins with the leadership that's there. They should take care of the contract for the entire union, especially when it comes to the presidency. They should be the ones that brings a contract that benefits all and not just certain people within the union.
Yeah,
right.
So it should be a principle that departmental issues shouldn't be negotiated on the main table. Yeah,
it should. I mean, it depends on what it is, but it shouldn't be negotiated at the main table. But they should give the department some range also as far as what they can negotiate. Like the way this Stand United Members First administration operates, like no money items are negotiated within the departments. Like when I negotiated the contract in I think it was 2017 for RTO, like we agreed with Barry Greenberg at the time, we agreed to an increase for work trains. I tried to get an increase for construction flagging, but they already had an increase as far as they made a rate higher than the conductor, where they make track worker rate. But at the same time, where our train operators in subdivision C, they make the same rate as a regular road train, even though they have, it's a specialty, in my opinion, to operate the work trains. So we agreed to an increase in the work trains, but that was taken back because of John Samuelson. He says, you don't negotiate any money in the departments. That's a president thing.
Right. Another question for you. Do you think departments should have separate contract votes on departmental agreements, that they shouldn't have to accept a sellout deal on a local wide level to get perks or benefits on a departmental level?
It can, but it depends on how the vote is conducted, because the department may want, let's say, the main table items, but disagree with what's going on in the department. So the vote may be not difficult to conduct, but it's hard to judge if they're saying no to the department or they're saying no to the main table, or is it no to both? Like it's a delicate
but if you have
piece.
separate votes, then it's pretty clear what they agree with and what they don't, right?
Not necessarily, because they may say no just to the main table, but they may like the departmental agreement, or vice versa. But it's hard to say, is because it's just a clean cut yes or no. Like, is it no to the whole thing? Is it no to the main table? Is it no to the department?
Yeah, it has to be the way the ballot is written. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be very concrete as to what they're voting on. But I mean, in general, you want more democracy in the union. You want more membership input, not just in terms of voting on a contract after it's already negotiated, but all the way through the process. And so the question to you is, how do you change the culture in the union and create the kind of education, the kind of outreach that we need to build a union membership that are not passive, that actually know they have a voice and know they shouldn't be afraid to use that voice?
the union itself should be open to receptive to participation. That's what the problem lies. And at the time, like when I was the vice president for RTO, I was told by John Samuelson and Tony Utano that I'm too open with the members. Where like my opposition, like say yourself at the time, not the opposition, but the outspoken ones against me, like say yourself, Eric Logel, everyone that was outspoken against me or even ran an election against me, we were releasing them to do safety walks. Because in my opinion, who better to do the safety walks than the ones that are actually out crying and saying, hey, we got all these problems out here. So you should be the ones that's going out there, even though it shouldn't be about, oh, he was my opponent or he spoke bad about me. To me, it's like you guys were the ones that were fighting for the union, for the membership.
Right.
So I openly was very open to participation within the union. But then they also told me too, it says you're open to participation. That means you're open to having opponents, which is what we have here in RTO. We have many different people that wants to run. They're outspoken, which is a great thing, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's a great thing because I've always said it too. It's like if someone could do the job better than me, so be it, because that's the better person for the job. It's better for us as a membership as a whole. I'm not.
Isn't the idea of having opponents the basis of democracy?
Yes.
If you're trying to prevent anyone from rising up and becoming a potential opponent, you're basically saying, I don't want anyone else to have an opinion other than mine in this department.
Absolutely. And then they don't want an opinion as just theirs, but also they don't want any opponents against them as well. Yeah. Which makes it easier for them to have the elections and easier for them to have that salary and all the perks and benefits. But at the end of the day, there's no participation with the union. So
that
maybe for them that's a great thing, but for me, it's like there's no participation. That means we have no fight. There's no fight from the back.
Yeah,
as you can see with the last contract fight, where was the fight? There was no fight.
Not just even that, but
at the time, 30 members, where 20 members of the 20 or 25 of them were union released people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's people from the. If there's ever a need to actually rally the membership for something like an egregious, something so egregious that even the leadership can't deny it, who's going to show up? Right. You've been squelching their voice and telling them, "I don't want to hear from you" all this time. Right. You're not going to get them to show up for something all of a sudden just because, this time I need you.
Or if you want them to take action, let's say. But my thing is too is like we have all these supervisors that talk whatever any which way to the members. Mm-hmm. And we know the certain ones. I'm not going to say names, but we know who certain ones are. No, let's say it's a specific location. Let's say it's 179 or Woodlawn. I'm just picking both divisions. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the supervisors are bad. I'm just giving examples. But say that there's a supervisor there that's just horrible. We're going to do action over there by the book, by the rules that would affect their thing that's going on there. And there are times where we've done that. And even like during my administration, when I was vice president for RTO, like management came to me and said, hey, what the hell's going on at 179? I was like, I told you already, you got this one prick supervisor that's there that's causing this, and you're not paying attention to what I'm telling you. Now that the members are speaking up, what's going on there? Will you listen to me? Now management wants to get involved and say, hey, what's going on? But at the end of the day, because there's no, like the members don't think they're being supportive, they're not going to do the things that the union asked for, the things that we need to do to fight back against management. So, a well-informed membership or if a membership that's more actively involved is better for the union. It may not be good for the administration, but it's good for the union.
Yeah.
It's also the idea that believing in unionism means that it's going to be a messy process and that people are not always going to agree and that people are going to learn through their own experiences and their own struggles what works, what doesn't work, which strategies show strength, which strategies divide us. They have to learn through their own experience. But part of the thing that I wanted to bring up with you is that people think that people who are running in the opposition are just throwing stones and they just want the position that the other person has and that it's all about mudslinging. But it's also about fundamentally the leadership that we have being anti-union and anti-working class and developing a long-term political alliance with our greatest enemies, the New York State ruling class, who let us die during COVID, the people who have long-term relationships, corrupt relationships with the governor, who are appointees that cycle in and out of the MTA board, that raise $53 billion in bond debt off our backs, off our taxes to pay people who pay nothing in New York State, city or federal tax. And they use the MTA as an ATM. Yet Our union leadership has a long-term political alliance as if they're friends, as if they're our best friends, as if we're their public relations reps. We need to polish their boots. We need to put out propaganda to the members to say, yeah, the bosses are right. We surrender. And then they wonder why members are angry. They wonder why members don't believe in the union. So how do you change that? Like, I know that that's not something you can change on day one, but how do you engage in a different kind of political advocacy that represents self-respect, that amplifies the conditions that workers experience on an everyday basis, and most importantly, amplifies their voices?
And now you're asking that question as far as dealing with the politicians within the
Yeah.
state?
Yeah, just changing the relationship we have with the New York State ruling class and with the MTA bosses and the way we do business with them.
Okay, so my thing is, like, I've always had like a good relations with, like, say, with management. And that good relations means I'm on my knees begging for things with them. They know I'm no nonsense, that if I'm saying something, it means something is really wrong here. And if they're not going to listen to what I'm saying, they know there's repercussions for them to not listen to me. That's the same kind of relationship you can build with the politicians as well. Especially with our COPE hours that we're giving them. If we're giving them a donation, it's because we're not to say we're buying their what we're looking for, but at the same time, they have to listen and work with us as far as what our needs are. So, like, if there's a politician, and I know a little bit about this politics stuff, because as many have mentioned, also I ran for mayor in my town, which is, it's a highly Republican company. I'm going off topic here, but as far as dealing with the politicians, that you got to show them that you mean no nonsense, and if they're not working for us, we got to put a candidate in there that will go up against them. It's the same thing like we're doing with the union administration too. So we're putting up a candidate that will go up against this administration, says you're not doing enough for us. So they have to worry about being taken out of office as well. So it's the same thing with our union. If there's no participation involved with the politicians, they're going to just do whatever they want to do because there's no heat on their backs. So we have to, like, put pressure on them as far as saying that, hey, listen, you may be the governor now, you may be the city councilman, you may be the state senator, you may be that now, but if you're not doing what you have to do for the workers, we're going to put someone in there that will. But that also means banning with the other unions and the other memberships, because right now we have 40,000+, 45,000, whatever it is for TWU. But we have NYPD, we got the state PEF, we got DC 37. New York is a union worker state. If we all band together, and if what we're looking for, even with tier 6 should be an easy fix right now. And it's been 12 years already, and we still haven't got it fixed. Why? Because we haven't band together. But there's easy solutions to this. But it also goes back to what we were saying before, where everyone's in it for themselves. What can we do for this? We got better. Like Sam has said, our tier 6 is worth the weight in gold compared to these other ones. Why are we doing that? It makes no sense. But if we put the pressure on the politicians and we put politicians in place that will work for us, that's where we can get to where we want to be.
Yeah. We are getting some questions in the chat that I'm going to get to very shortly. But I just wanted to follow up on the overall philosophy that you have for union negotiation. Like, you can see there's very clearly, like, two souls of unionism right now. It's the ones that collaborate with management and basically want to find out what management can offer, what they can afford, and they're going to design a contract that meets their needs, and then they're going to sell it as the best contract ever to the membership. It's kind of business unionism. It's they want a relationship with the bosses, not a meaningful relationship where when I say what I say, I mean what I say, and that if I don't get what I want, if our members don't get the respect that they want, there are going to be consequences for that disrespect. Yeah. So there's a difference between what you're talking about and the business unionism that I'm talking about. But then there's another section of the labor movement, like UAW, that's organizing other workers to basically engineer joint contract expiration dates in May 1st, May Day of 2028. Now, I know there's a lot of other things that they're saying that you can't say because of the tail law and all of that. Nobody is suggesting that we are encouraging any kind of action like that. But collective action, with multiple unions. In this case, it's national unions, but we can also see that happening on a local level. Would you be reaching out from day one to try to coordinate with those other unions to build a united front, and a public united front that says we all stand together? No one's going to divide us. We're not going to pit us against each other. We're not playing the pattern bargaining game that hasn't been working for us. We're going to set the pattern. What do you think about that philosophically, changing that perspective?
I think I've been on record saying that. That's one of my main goals as far as what we're going to do. We need to band together with the other unions to get to where we want to be, because we, like you're saying with the pattern bargaining, if one person takes 2%, we got to sell out like Richard Davis and Tony Utano, who sell off the Medicare retirees' health benefits to get a wage that's not 2%. Now we get a 3% because he gave back that Medicare CPPO plan that we had. There's that kind of actions like that. That negates what's going on. So we need to band together with these other unions. And you're saying before about the Taylor law and you're trying to just steer.
No, I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to protect you.
No, the Taylor law, then this is the misconception of the Taylor law. The Taylor law says we can't say the word strike. If we need to strike, we're going to strike. But that's up to us as far as the union. I'm not afraid to strike. I'll say the words. I don't care. They can say what they want to say. If the members say, hey, listen, this is what we want, and we go to the table, and now we have to be put in this position to make sure we can get what we're looking for. Like you're saying before, we need to band with the other unions. There's no existing patterns that are there that will hurt. Like if there's a pattern, like say NYPD takes 2% and 2.5%, and I'm here saying we need to get 10%. Like that's a heart of a fight because there's already an existing pattern. But if there's no pattern and the MTA is not budging as far as we want 8%, and the MTA say no, it's 2%. You didn't speak to Richard Davis, you didn't speak to Tony Utano and Samuelson, it's always 2%. Like I'm not playing that nonsense. If we go to the membership, and we'll have a mass membership meeting where they can talk about that kind of stuff, and we'll take a strike vote if we need to. It doesn't have to be a mass membership meeting too. Our contract expiring next year. If I'm putting this president in place for January 1st, our contract expiring May 1st, we'll have a mass membership meeting right before that contract and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. We'll put it all on the table. This is what the MTA is talking about. They're not budging. This is what they want. What are we doing here? And we'll take that strike vote, whatever the case is. And if that's the case that we need to strike, we'll strike. Hell with this Taylor law. We'll deal with the Taylor law. We'll deal with the Taylor law.
I agree with you in terms of, members need to make that decision and that we don't take any options off the table. But
yes,
I just was trying to be protective and not put words in your mouth. So
yeah, it's okay. I'm willing to say whatever needs to be said. I appreciate that, but we
have a bunch of questions on the comments, so I'm going to put them up on the screen so that you can take a look at some of the questions. Okay. We have Dante Williams. Why management isn't making sure we make the money? Signals department management doesn't value the workers. And I believe there's another one from Signals. Current administration failed to make modest amendments to the Taylor law. Do you have any strategies to make the changes to the law so we can have real leverage? So I have a bunch of Signals department people in the comments. So let's just start with those two. So do you remember? You got the first question, right?
Okay. Well, I appreciate the Signals department being here and being more involved because the participation within the department with the union is lacking. But the first question is why management isn't making sure we make the money. That's a good question. Now I bring this up back to the stations department where they keep eliminating all the station agents and the booths that they have, taking away the cash from the booths. To me, the fare evasion, this whole thing with the fare evasion, the problem is with these push gates that they installed. They should have never installed these push gates. The reason why they did that because they wanted to eliminate the station agents. But I think management thought we'll put the push gates. We'll take away the station agents and people will still pay their fares. Where now is people just wait by the gates. One person opens the door and 100 people walk through the gate each time, which is insane. They should get rid of these push gates. There was nothing wrong before with the station agents buzzing the gate open to let a wheelchair go out, a stroller, whatever the case is, anyone with a large package. But there should be controls for those gates where people are not just walking through the gate. So management should be making sure we make the money. Because the fare box is what coincides with our raises too. They should worry about what the money that they take into the MTA, because now they're talking about they're always in the red. We need federal dollars. Blah 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 blah. Let's enforce the fare evasion. Put the station agents back in the booths. It's also for safety. It's for the riding public. It's a whole positive thing as far as having the station agents there. It's like, you go to the train station 2:00 in the morning. People are afraid to go down there because like you don't know what you're going to find down there.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you have a station agent that's there. That's a comfort that says, hey, listen, that station agent is there. But it also fights back against the fare evasion. It brings the MTA back their money, and it's a whole bunch of positive effects on it. Now, as far as getting that back into place, that's where we need to put the pressure on the politicians. Each district that has the station agents gone, we should go to the city councilman and say, hey, listen, why aren't these people here? We have a whole bunch of voters that live in those districts. We can get the writing public involved. There's a whole slew of things that we can do to get these things going. It's not just within ourselves, but with the other unions. It's with also the local people that are out there. We can petition the people that are out there. Hey, listen, why don't we have these station agents here? Don't you feel more protected if it's a person that's here? I mean, there's a whole thing that we can do. I can elaborate on and on and on, but there needs to be fight back. That's the whole main thing.
Yeah. Then the other question here is the current administration failed to make modest amendments to the tail law. Do you have strategies to make changes to the law so we can have real leverage? What is your idea of tail law reform? Let's just put it that way.
Tail law reform, I mean, I understand the whole process as far the concept of not striking because it can cause chaos within the city, but they should also give us some leeway as far as listen to our problems and concerns as far as what the contracts and whatever we're missing as far as safety, health, a living wage, all this stuff should be taken into consideration. But again, this goes back to putting politicians in place that would actually listen to us and to make these amendments to the tail law. So we have to justify what's going on there, see what's going on with the politicians that are there now. We can bring these changes to them, not just as far as like if I'm local 100 president. Even now, we can start that now. What changes can we make? We can make a coalition as far as membership, like who wants to be involved in this, make a tail law committee and see what's within this tail law, because, it's not just you can't strike. There's a whole bunch of things with the tail law. The tail law also, what people don't understand also, the tail law gives us the right to representation with the union too. So that's one of the benefits. Right. Yeah. So it's right. So there's things involved with the tail law, but you have to understand the whole thing about the tail law. So we can put a committee together, see what's going on, not just us, with everybody, all the unions, not just TWU, and get a coalition going, say, hey, what changes do we need to make? What's the first ones we want to see done? And then we start putting out there to the politicians to get this stuff done. So, there's things that can be done, but there's things all these things are not being done at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, here's another question from Signals. How knowledgeable are you guys when it comes to Signals department? We're hearing we're losing our maintenance contracts system-wide to contractors. Don't know the truth of it, but how are you going to attack that?
Okay, so yes, I'm hearing the same rumors too. And it's not even just rumors also. Like we had signal maintainers bringing in, they have contractors coming in, and the union allowed them to have their existing signal maintainers like oversee the contractors do their work. That's the problem right there. Like, why are we having contractors? They're basically farming out our work to third-party companies. The same thing too when we have the security guards. I'm going a little off top of the signal, but this is union-wide, this whole problem. Like to bring it to face, like because everyone can see this every day. Like we got the security guards guarding the gates. Fine, I'm for security. First of all, they should be station agents. Back to that again. But security guards guarding the gates, that should be our TPPAs working those jobs, not an outside security company doing that.
Not to mention, sorry for interrupting, but the security guards literally don't do anything.
No, right.
I mean, they just stand there. It's like you want to jump the turnstile, they will watch you because they're not empowered to do a damn thing.
Right. Well, in the case, if that's our TPPAs, they're going to be doing the same thing too. Not to give the contractor security guards a pass, but in the end of the day, that should be our TPPAs doing the same thing that they're doing, letting the people jump the turnstiles and whatever the case is. But that should be our station agents put back there. And, I mean, and to me, that the whole thing about the fare evasion is mostly walking through the gates. So that goes back to but to go back to the signals, they have contractors coming in and doing that work. And then they had the signal maintainers overseeing them doing that kind of work, where we shouldn't even allow any of this stuff to happen. They brought contracted cleaners, contracted security guards. There should be no contracted nothing coming in. We should be able to do all this work on our own. That's our exclusive work that we should have here. And the union should just put their foot down and say that enough's enough, that's our work.
What I'm thinking of, I know, because on the 7, where you've got ongoing station renovations, and we started with 82nd and 111 southbound. They were supposed to take like 6 months, and it turned into 10. And 111th wasn't even finished when it reopened. It had plywood for walls because they somehow had not ordered the panels for the wall, despite the fact that an outdoor station requires panels, or people will just fall right the hell off it. But yeah, so they're planning on doing all the platforms. It will probably, at this rate, take 6 or 7 years, and it's all been farmed out to contractors.
Right.
So
Kia, also, then you look at the contract is like the cost of that too. Like they're spending millions and billions of dollars, like for what? Like I
remember the story where they're doing the Hudson Yards expansion. Right. They did an audit and they found there were about a dozen people. They literally could not figure out what the hell they were being paid for. They were just these guys who were like, they're on your payroll and nobody has a clue what their responsibility is. Yeah. And it's other things like, the machines they use is like you've got 12 guys on the crew in another city that, they build it, they dig tunnel. The machine takes 2 people.
Right. Yeah. It's MTA, money going away, as they say.
Yeah. Well, we also know why they love contractors, because a lot of the MTA executives are a revolving door from contractors into business with the transit authority, and there's no oversight. The union does no oversight. Speaking of no oversight, though, we had a question from Yuri in the chat on YouTube, was from Signals, and he was saying that pointing to the air quality. I wanted to share my screen to show you a recent study about air quality in the subways, and the silence has been absolutely deafening from our union leadership about this issue. But I just want to share the screen so people know what we're talking about. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Okay. New York City subway air is actually pretty toxic, according to a new study. It was an NYU study that was conducted about the air quality in the subways, and basically saying that a specific type of fine particulate matter called PM 2.5 at several stations throughout the city. Basically, what happens is that every time a train goes through, it aerosolizes all of the steel dust, silica, rat poison, God knows what else is in the air in the subways. It aerosolizes it, and then it hangs in the air for a period of time. And the more trains that go through the station, the more air pollution you get. So what I'm going to stop sharing the screen here. What Yuri was asking was that other countries, we have dangerous air quality levels in the subway on the structures. We have fiberglass flying around. Other countries have air quality meters. What are you going to do about that? And Yuri also wants to get your contact information to come out to Signals to talk to these guys. So
absolutely.
Again, let them know.
Okay. So I spoke about this briefly on Tramel Thompson's Progressive Action TV show.
Yeah.
So the same air quality monitor that we did in the stations, I want the air quality monitors to be done in their facilities. So if they're working in the tunnels, I'm going to get that stuff done, and not just specific. Like I want tunnels like where no work is done. I want studies done where work is being done. I want studies in the tunnels where there's no train movement. I want studies in a tunnel where there is train movement. I want studies done for all kinds of things. And we need to compare these results, because if the station is having these insane readings, what do you think the tunnels are going to have? It's going to be out the roof. So like the studies need to be done. Our members need to be protected, and this needs to just get going because it's just dangerous the way it is right now. So
it's more than dangerous. It's deadly. We know our coworkers, a lot of them after retirement live average 2-3 years after retirement. I mean, it's really has devastating impacts on our families and our communities. But the question I would have is, are you for binding language in the contractual agreement demanding regular health surveys along the lines that you're talking about, with specific consequences for management when they continue to violate these health and safety standards? And what can be done to force the federal government to do their goddamn job? The state government, unfortunately, is the MTA, so we can't really expect too much out of them. But who's investigating them?
Right. So to me, this is not even a contractual issue. I mean, if it needs to go into the contract, we can do that. But this is just quality of life. This is something simple that needs to get done. So we can conduct our own investigation, our own readings, bring that to the state, to OSHA, to PASH, or wherever needs to see it, to the governor's desk, to the federal government, to wherever the case is, and we can get this done. If we're saying this is the quality of life that's down there, and this is the contamination that we're breathing in, we don't need a contract to get this stuff done. Like just the pure embarrassment of alone, just to put this out to the media and out there to the broadening public, it should be enough for them to just take action on that. So I don't think it needs to be done in the contract, but if I need to put in the contract, we can, but this should be done outside the contract. We don't have to wait for a contract to get this stuff done.
Right. Also, we have a whole bunch of comments here. We got, here we go. What is your policies on economic gain, specifically holiday pay, night differential time, half over 8 hours run pay, and last but not least, are you going to be campaigning in the depots? This is from buses.
Yes. I mean, the depots, yes. I'm not sure which depot you're in, but we can coordinate wherever you're. I would like to see you to see if you're asking for it. But the policies on economic gains, I guess you're talking about raises or what?
Yes, talking about specifically holiday pay, night differential time, time and a half over 8 hours run pay. But I mean, the general.
We already get time and a half on beyond 8 hours, so I'm not sure what that last one is.
Yeah, that's something.
But this is related to run pay. This isn't specifically in buses. I'm not sure exactly what you.
Yeah, I think it's a bus only issue.
Yeah, but if you can also, like, I want you to answer her specific question. But if this is an important question for all members, like, that many of our members feel like refugees, right? They have to travel to New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Rhode Island, I've even heard, upstate New York,
right,
because they can't afford to live in the city they serve.
Right.
And, for example, UAW, another thing that they're doing, they're demanding a shorter work week for the same pay, 32 hours for 40. They're making class-wide demands that show that we're very productive at workers, but yet we're not able to make a living on the 8 hours, the 40-hour work week. And that's specifically why members are constantly asking about holiday pay, night differential, anything so they can survive. And we have to get out of the idea that we're somebody in a dinghy being tossed around by whatever storm comes our way, and there's no one that we can't have any home life, we can't have any work-life balance. We just got to sell ourselves as an object to the bosses. So we need a union leadership that doesn't think of us that way and that actually wants to come up with real solutions for how can we make a living in this city? How can we be treated with respect? How can we demand it?
No, so this goes to the contract negotiations. Like, I would look at the holiday pay, see what other unions are getting. They like to pattern bargain and compare us to other unions and things like that. So we'll look at what the night differential is for NYPD and FDNY. Obviously, ours is not up to par with what they're at. So we need to get that up to par. So that'll be one of the starting points for us. And holiday pay, like the $2 an hour, we'll compare that to everybody else. So they want to compare pattern bargain with everything that's going on. We'll pattern bargain with all that. Like, we're going to compare that stuff too. So we'll do an analysis as far as what other people are getting, other unions are getting, and we'll fight to get that comparison as far as comparable with those other unions. And we should be more than that, but at the very least, we should be making the same as what they're making.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucy left to put up here a clarification for buses. We don't get paid time and a half after the 8 hours run pay. For example, sanitation gets double time on RDOs. Other city agencies get 10% night differential.
Yeah. Okay. No. So that goes back to double. Well, we need to address the double time and the night diff. Whatever they're getting, we need to fight for that and get that. That should be like a starting point. It's like if they say no, it's like a non-starter for us then. If everybody else is getting 10% night diff, then we should get 10% too. Especially that they're making their hourly wages more than us. So so that's like a non-starter then. Like, we should be, if they're 10%, we should be 10% too. At a minimum, should be 10%. Okay. Now that part about the not getting time and a half over 8 hours, that's a little concerning. I'm not sure what that means. Because in our contract, we get time and a half over 8 hours. So I don't know if she's talking about swing time.
Pay. It's something to do with run pay as opposed to, I guess, switching time or whatever. I don't know.
I'm not sure, because anything over 8 hours it's time and a half in our contract. Yeah, so I'm not sure if she's adding swing into that, because swing is a little different. But
yeah, I don't know. But in any case, feel free to comment, and we'll we'll answer the question.
Right.
I have two burning questions here that you must answer before you leave. One is about workers' compensation, and Kia, I know a whole lot about this topic, not for my choosing, but because of the conditions down here that we all face. And I'm like, I'm the bad employee because I bang in anytime I'm injured on the job, and I refuse to work unsafe, and I refuse to work injured. And so I'm the one that my union leaders seek to put on blast as some kind of shiftless and lazy employee who's looking to get over, which is a disgrace to the whole idea of unionism. But as specifically related to workers' comp, we know the system is broken. I'm going to put a comment from Rebecca Becky Otero. Compensation has to be fixed. The whole state law sucks. It's an absolute train wreck. It automatically gives the MTA the right to refuse to pay you without any evidence, without any medical evidence at all. Deny, force your family into poverty. Basically send you to bought and paid for doctors that are medicine and that are basically the whole reason why they were hired was to cut down on the MTA's costs. So I know this is a big problem, but how do we begin to fix it? Obviously the law needs to be fixed, but in terms of negotiation, what would your strategy be to force change?
So for just to address what's going on with TWU Local 100 and the existing policy that's in place now, where we have to go through Corvell, that was an agreement that was signed by the union last year, and that agreement extends until the end of next year. So as president, I am guaranteeing you, I am not signing any kind of CPPO plan, like agreement to put our workers into the Corvell again. So we should have never put into that Corvell. I think that goes back to that contractual agreement that they made where
2017, I think, right?
No,
yeah, they said 2017 it was put into effect, or they agreed to it, but they had never actually formally begun it.
That's a complete lie, because Dennis Engel for the union signed off on this for the union, and Dennis Engel is the general counsel for the union.
Yeah.
This was last year that they signed off on this, not 2017. Now I'll go back to 2017. So in 2017, they agreed to use this kind of concept where it's a PPO plan, but the negotiation at the time, right? The union and management had to go to the table to negotiate who's going to be in this PPO. How do I know that? Because I was part of that. And one of I wasn't concerned about that provision, because we would have put doctors that worked for us into this PPO. So management could have put there whoever they want to, all these horrible doctors that they have, like Dr. Sass. I think there was one that was labeled on Facebook today, that put one of our workers back to work after after an assault. They put them back to work after 2 months, things like that. But we would have put doctors that benefited the workers into this PPO. And according to that 2017 contract, that PPO provision was supposed to be negotiated by the end of December 31st, 2017. And it never happened because management didn't want us to put our doctors in there. So that agreement never took place. So they kicked me out in 2018. And then finally last year, they were able to get the union to sign off on this PPO, and they got it back into existence without the contract, because this wasn't a contractual thing. This was something
they violated their own contract, right?
Not violating the contract.
Well, no, I'm saying if it had a definite time when it had to be negotiated, and it wasn't.
It wasn't, right.
So
that's why they had to have the stipulation where both parties had to sign it to agree to use the PPO. So this negotiation, I don't know if that's even out there. It should be out there, because I think I've seen pieces of it out there. If it's not, I'll put it out there with the signatures that are there. The MTA and the union signed off on this last year to put this PPO into existence, to use Corvell. So that provision expires at the end of next year. So whoever the president that's in place, if that's me, I'm telling you right now, we're not signing off on that. Like you don't have to talk to the e-board, you don't have to talk to any of that. I'm not signing off on any of that stuff, because that hurts the workers.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's another question I have for you. I've been on the executive board and I see how it runs, and I can't express to members how corrupt it is and how rotten and backwards and how much like a fraternity of drunken frat brothers it is. And how much the lawyers actually determine almost everything that goes on there. Like you have lawyers like Schwartz and Engel who have more influence on what happens in our union than anybody who's elected, except the very top leaders. What would you do to get rid of such a ridiculous cart leading the horse routine they got going on there?
Well, I don't want to particularly blame the attorneys because the attorneys work for the president. So they're pushing what the president is telling them to do. So if they have to spin legally whatever they need to spin, they're going to do it for the president because they're not going to come because what are they benefiting from this? It's the president that's guiding them as far as what they want. So
right.
So those attorneys just need to be gone. So I don't know what kind of
that was the question. Would you fire them?
No, they need to go. So that's the end of them. I mean, so I don't know what kind of the contract they have, but once that contract expires, we're going to get new attorneys that will work for us, the membership.
Yeah.
The problem is also you need to put a president in place that will work for the membership. So we need to get the right person in there that will work for the members, not a self-serving scumbag like Davis and Utano that's going to continue the same process. Even Sampson, and he's dipping into the international. Like he needs to go too, but everyone's like afraid of these people. So, but we need to put people in place that will work for the members and not be self-serving. And whoever, I've always said again, I'm going to say it again. If you got to put the right person for the job, whether it's me or somebody else, whatever the case is, just put the right person in the job that will work for us.
Right. The other question that you must answer before you leave is the following question: will you protect the retirees? Every active is a retiree in training. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to give you a chance to talk about what it means to have a union, to try to build pride in the union, to try to get members involved, to try to mobilize our strength when we blow out the tires on our car and, basically attack people who work their whole lives to have the same benefits that they've had since Lyndon Johnson passed Medicare in the 1960s. People fought and died for those rights, and yet our union is the getaway driver for management in terms of stealing those rights. How do you feel about this?
No, I agree completely. But protecting the retiree, like we should be, like the retirees should still be an active part of our union too, where the union pushes them away too, which is not good. Like retirees got all the energy to work. There's so many retirees that I know that just want to participate in something. Like they come back to the terminals, they come back to the depots. They want to get involved. But as far as protecting retirees, like what Davis did with this Medicare Advantage, the problem with him is he didn't understand what the MTA was asking for.
He didn't even read it.
They're feeding him whatever they're saying. Oh, there's an enhanced benefit for this, an enhanced benefit for that. It's all BS. Because at the end of the day, fine, enhanced benefit for this, enhanced benefit for that. But what are you taking away? Like understand, like, oh, we're going to take away the CPPO plan, which is the traditional Medicare with the Part B. He took that away from us, where there was no referrals for if a doctor says you need this, it gets approved. Not this you need to be go through Aetna and says, oh, you need this, oh no, try this instead, or it's denied, and now you have to go through appeals, and it takes 6 months to a year to get it approved. Meanwhile, you died. Like it's insane about what he did to us. So would you protect the retirees? Absolutely, because at the end of the day, we're all gonna be, us three in this call is gonna be retiree. Everyone that's watching this right now is gonna be retiree. Like it's hurting us as well. But we need to understand what's there. And if something's being negotiated and I don't understand it, there's other people that are out there that don't understand this stuff, and we need to reach out to them and bring them in as far as, hey, listen, this is what they want. What's the pros and cons? And show me. And I'm for reading this stuff. I'm not just here to just sign off on things. And just to back up a little bit to the executive board thing, like the financial reports, they never say anything as far as what did we spend on. They just have these round numbers, say we spent this and spent that. And they knew I knew I was out the door because every time we vote on it, I either abstain or vote no. I never voted yes on that stuff.
I know how you feel. I know how you feel, Kia. I was on
I'm not voting yes. If the feds ever came down on them, you never catch me voting yes on any of that crap. So Yeah, we need to absolutely protect the retirees and get them involved with us too. If they
Absolutely.
want
We
to
need
be
to learn
involved,
from
I'm
them.
open door to that stuff. Come on in and let's fight. Let's do this. Help us.
Yeah, we need to learn from them. I mean, they know how to unite. They know
Yes.
how to build
Mhm.
collective unity with no
Yes.
resources. They don't
Yes.
have the benefit of a union. They're putting us to shame
Yes.
in terms of their level of organization. I just wanted to put up another question. I think we're going to need to wrap up soon. We want to try to keep it to an hour, but
Okay.
Kia has promised to come back as many times as you all want to talk. He's here.
Absolutely.
And this question I think is an important question to wrap up on. There's a number of people running for the union president. Good chance of splitting the vote. How are you planning to deal with that to win? And I just want to frame the discussion that Kia is not the one who made this happen. Kia and Progressive Action and Local 100 Fightback, we've been trying to reach out and trying to build unity and trying to find a way to build the kind of unity that we needed. And okay, so I want you to explain what the response was from the other supposed opposition candidates in terms of your outreach to them. What you think of this situation. I know it's not something that I'm happy about, and I don't think any member should be happy about. But I think we also at this point in September of 2024, it's long past time for that discussion. It's time to make a decision. It's time to make the most change we can, build the most unity we can. So that's my answer. Sorry to bogart the question, but turn it over to Kia. Yeah.
Well, I got involved a little bit late here. So I did reach out to Mike Odero. And so I reached out to him. I sent up a text. I think I left him a voicemail as well. And Mike, I know Mike for a long time. I don't think he's the right candidate for job, but that's just my opinion. But I reached out to Mike. He didn't have the decency to even call me back. He had his campaign manager speak to me. And it wasn't even a real discussion. He offered me some kind of position in this administration, like the comp director or something like that. So it wasn't even like a real discussion as far as building that unity. Because at the end of the day, we should unite. There's a whole bunch of fighters that are out there that are willing to take on this union, because at the end of the day, all the different candidates that are out here are saying that this administration is no good. And that's the bottom line. If you see a whole bunch of candidates, like what the membership should see is like, it's not about members first and they have a full slate or whatever the case is. It's just people are afraid to step up and say the union is no good, especially like MABSTOA, let's say, where they control your overtime. So there's a lot of outspoken members. They're not outspoken, but there's a lot of members that reached out to me and says, hey, listen, there's a lot of no good that's going on here and needs to get fixed. I said, have you gone to a union meeting? He says, no, I can't show up there. Then I'm going to be a target for these administration, because now they're going to think I'm running for office, and then they're going to cut my overtime. I need the overtime. So they're using this as leverage as far as so there's people that want to fight back, but they're afraid to fight back, or they're afraid of the ramification that's involved there. But the membership should see that ballot and say, hey, listen, there's 2, 3, 4 states, whatever the case is, and say, these are people that are saying that this administration is no good. Now, to go back to the different groups that are running, I reached out to Michael Darrow. I also reached out to Ms. Byers, and we tried to come to an agreement. It wasn't a real conversation as well. We couldn't come to terms, and it is what it is. I mean, we tried our best, and so in September that's gone out the window already. So now what I say is just choose the best candidate out there that's there. Are they presenting information? Are they bringing real ideas that can actually fight back against the administration, fight back against the local government, the governor? Can this person bring the means to us, the members? Or is this candidate a uniter? Do they want to get the members involved? Do they want to get? I'm willing to fight. I mean, I'm willing to collaborate with anybody, even with the existing administration. And not for nothing, too, there are good union reps that on the other side with members first. There are tons of them. But the bad thing I'm going to say about them is they see what's going on, and they're part of the go along to get along gang too. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem there. So as much of a fight that they have, if they put their name under that ballot, under that administration, then they're no good too, because integrity goes a long way. And if you're saying that you're running with them, then you're no good too. So Look for the right candidate, listen to what's being said, ask questions. Are they open to a thing like this? I'm like, someone says, I'll go to the depot. Like you like the same thing you said in the beginning when you said about me. I was always open. Doesn't matter who it was. I'm willing to listen. We'll fight to fight. We'll have a little argument, and at the end of the day, we hash it out, whatever the case is. I'm willing to do this with anybody, any department, and whatever's going on out there. So we need to unite, and we need to pick the right candidate that's going to fight for you.
Yeah, Kia, the other thing too is that, to be honest, like part of the reason why we were so silent in this whole process, like we weren't doing these live streams, we weren't going public with what kind of leadership we thought we needed, because we wanted to have these conversations face to face with the leaders that we all know, the fighters that we all know, the activists that were outspoken, the people who have done work, people who we either had respect for at one point, or try to heal the wounds and to try to unite the union. It was not lost on us that was the objective, and we spent from September of last year through March of this year trying to build that with the all hands on deck formation that was coming together. We respected John Cimino. We were involved in meetings with Evangeline Byers, and we go to a meeting in March of this year and everything's already decided. She's already picked all of the VPs. They've had meetings of who's going to run for what position in each department. All the decisions are already made. Meetings we weren't even invited to. Is that unity? Is that a way to bring people together? Is that a way to understand the crisis we face as a union? And to me, elections have consequences, and elections are about what kind of leaders, what are leaders, what's their moral character? How do they move? What kind of openness do they have to actually building a union that represents all of us? And I'm sorry to tell you, I don't see it from these other opposition slates. I just don't. And you have on Cadero's slate, everything is already decided. Where were those decisions made? Where were the public meetings? Where was any attempt at all? I mean, I'll give Byers credit that at least she wanted to meet with other people. Cordero wanted to meet with no one. And Cordero has been a creature of the union hall for the better part of 20 years, is getting blown up by Roger Toussaint, saying he's taking kickbacks from contractors, that he was shaking down contractors for kickbacks, that he sold hot cars to the union. It matters who our leaders are. We can't just get rid of the rotten leadership we have. We have to have responsible leaders. We have to have leaders with moral character we can actually trust, that they're not going to make reckless decisions, stupid decisions, that they're not going to risk their jobs and other people's jobs. And talk is one thing, but talk is cheap. How you move is, people need to judge you on that too.
Absolutely. And like the decisions that you make too, like the president makes all these decisions on his own. Mm-hmm. But you have an executive committee representing each department, even the division chairs. Like any kind of decisions that are being made, where there's like a union-wide decision, like this workers' comp or the retirees' medical benefits, the executive committee and the division chair should be involved in this, because that's what the membership elected these leaders to handle. It's not just one person's show. But at the end of the day, like, you may miss something. Like I said before, like, I'm not the end all be all. I think I know a lot of what's going on with the MTA and with the union, but I may miss something too. We're all human. Like one thing that I may miss that the vice president from MLW may know something about, or the vice president from stations, or the division chair from CED, or whatever the case is. Right. Like, to me, the more people, the more heads in the room to discuss this kind of thing, the better it is. And like the same thing with I'll bring back a little bit when we talk about uniting. Like I had a meeting with Ms. Byers, right? She wanted me to settle a negotiation as far as what the combined slate would look like between me and her. And my argument was, we need to bring the people into the room. So when we had that meeting where we had that I don't know what that was, but there was like a 30 or 40 people in the room. That was because I asked for that. I wanted that there. But she also posed that as a thing where I was a puppet. I can't make the decisions on my own. That's the reason why I wanted people to be in the room. And that's not the case. My whole existence since I started this union stuff, even as a regular rep, non-elected, as a vice president of the department, I needed to bring the people into the room. Like even when I did the contract negotiation, I'm talking way off topic here. But like I brought the contract negotiator, I brought everybody in. I had all the executive board members in there. If you remember, and I'm not saying anything bad about Nikki Vertos, but that guy is like He was on our executive board for chain operators, but that guy's mouth, like you couldn't even, like he's dangerous too as far as what he'll say. Like we'll have our side meetings, and I'm afraid that he might say something to management that we discuss as union leaders in our caucus. But he was still elected by the membership. I wanted him in the room. I wanted him to represent the members that elected him. So we need to bring everybody in and get everybody involved. I'm always open to that. Shop stewards, that's a whole big thing. That's a whole other subject, I guess, for another day. But an educated membership is a strong membership, and it's a strong union. But
and also management is never going to fear one leader. They're never going to fear one educated person, one person who speaks so well. That's a fantasy. Mike Quill did a lot of things for this union that no other leader did, but he wasn't essential. He was a leader that was able to mobilize people and amplify their voices and organize them. And they fear us. They fear our collective unity.
Yeah.
Members, please.
One leader could be taken out of office.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that on the job. Look how they try to attack us. I mean,
I got worked out.
And we haven't even brought up the wanted posters our own union is putting up in the field. About us. But in any case, Kia, thank you so much for your time. And members, keep the comments coming. Kia, can you give your contact information so that people can reach you to follow up on discussion? Or
okay. My phone number is 917-408-3302. Okay. And my email, you could use my name, KIAPHUA@gmail.com. Now, if I don't, I said this before when I was a rep too, because the amount of like contacts that people would hit me up now is going to be insane. It's been 5 years out of union office, 5.5 years since I've been out of union office. And the amount of stuff that I still get to this day is insane. That just goes to tell you what we got in the union, that they can't even trust what's going on that's in there. But if I don't reply back, I said that when I was a rep, I'm saying this now, I'm not a rep. If I don't reply back, it's because I didn't want to, it's because I didn't see it, or it's just I'm overwhelmed, not overwhelmed, but the amount of contacts that I received is just overwhelming. That means just hit me up again. I'm not offended if you hit me up 2-3 times. You shouldn't reach the third time. But if you hit me up the second time, that means I must have missed you the first time. So just contact me again. It's because I missed it. It's because I'm not intentionally trying to avoid you. It's because I missed it. So please reach out to me whenever you need to, or whatever the case is. And I'm open now to whatever cases, problems that you have, especially with the workers' comp. I know it's a whole big thing. People getting put back to work. They're still injured. Reach out to me. I'll help you out with that stuff. Yeah.
And if you can't reach Kia, hit me up. I'll make sure he gets back to you. Kia's used to that.
Yes.
But so in any case, feel free to reach out to Kia, be part of the campaign, sign our petitions in the field, support proven fighters and leaders, judge people by their character, how they move, how they've organized.
In times when you have petitions, if you believe and you trust in what you hear here today and you want to help, please hit us up. Hit John up, Ray, me.
Let us know.
And there's still time to get these petitions in. There's still time for you to help. We got to turn in petitions by Friday. So, tomorrow's Wednesday, but we can get that to you. Every little bit counts. 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, whatever the case is. Every person matters. So if you can help, please hit us up and let us know too.
And as Kia said, he's going to be a regular guest. So whenever you're free, let us know. And we'll continue these discussions. People can also continue to put comments in the on a live stream feed. I'm sure there's dozens of questions we haven't covered. Please remind us about the issues that you want to hear from Kia about.
I'll definitely be back. So put the questions there. John will take them all. I'm used to John. He'll pressure me. So I know he's running on the same slate as I am, but this is not some
we hold everybody accountable. Yeah. Listen, Kia, I would never hold you to a standard that I wouldn't hold myself. Yes. Or that members don't hold me to. You say you get calls all the time. Trust me. I was elected for 1 year. Constantly about everything. So, but I accept that. And I think that any leader should accept that.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, we got a leadership here that is like, they like to shit on the membership. Like it's like somehow that makes you look better. That makes the union look better to say all the members are fucking up. It's your job.
It's a shame that they fight us more than they fight management. Isn't that
Yeah.
ridiculous? Like, it's crazy. But
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that their scope, their the rifle scope of management is all cockeyed, but when it comes to the members, they know how to hit the target all the time, don't they?
yep.
All right, you guys have a great night. Sorry to take up more of your time than we expected there, Kia.
All right.
It's
Have a good night.
okay.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome anytime.